It's been a rough couple of months for the Los Angeles Clippers. They had the Kawhi drama in the offseason, the Chris Paul drama during the season, plus they got off to an abysmal 6-21 start. But over the past 2 weeks, the Clippers have won 6 out of the last 7 games. And over that stretch, Kawhi Leonard has looked like an absolute superstar, averaging an efficient 36 points per game, plus LA is outscoring teams by 15 points with them on the court. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive on the film to see where exactly Kawhi has been finding success and try to figure out just how far he can take this team going forward. Now with Kawhi's scoring, I think he easily does his best work in the mid-range. Right now, he's shooting just below 55% on all his in-between jumpers. And his real superpower from these spots is that he has countless of ways to generate these looks. First, Kawhi has the footwork and handle to create these shots while facing up off the dribble. I wouldn't say he has the most dynamic or shifty game off the bounce, but he is very good at both getting the defense off balance and creating angles. This to me looks like a pretty stiff combination, but him just dropping his level and playing with the ball back and forth is enough to get Tobias Harris getting back. The footwork here is simple but sharp, where Kawhi first goes between, and watch him bring that back foot forward to flow into a step back. While playing in these tight spaces, I also think Kawhi has really good deceleration by just attacking hard downhill and creating separation by slamming the brakes. But again, pretty much all of these moves stem from Kawhi's handle. Look how he's going to bring the ball between and float those feet up to build momentum, and he's able to drive through that contact to then stop on 2 and rise up. Leonard here is going to bring the ball between and back through, and from this spot, it's just going to be an aggressive 2-dribble left-right jumper. Now what kind of separates Kawhi as your typical isolation wing scorer is that he also has the size to take advantage of matchups in the post. And over the years, he's developed this unique way of blending both his perimeter and post game, where he'll often start isolations facing up off a live dribble, but then mid-attack, he can also turn his back and transition right into a post-up. And from here, he has a whole duffel bag of different moves and counters. First, Kawhi has the footwork and control to turn and pull up over either shoulder, and he's great at feeling leverage and creating angles with tight spins and drop steps. Walter Clayton here is heavily throwing his weight into him, so Kawhi is just going to spin right over the top foot. And Leonard also has a really good understanding of how much space he needs to pull up. He's just going to attack towards the nail here and stop, and with all this breathing room, he has the space to pick up and turn into a shot. And Kawhi will also mix in some sneaky pivots to create additional space or get the defense out of position. It's just him and Asar Thompson playing one-on-one, and Kawhi is just going to attack into contact to his left to then pick up and create space with his reverse pivot. We'll see him hit the same move here, where he attacks below the nail, picks up, reverse pivots, but as the defense commits the shot, Kawhi has the balance to step into contact and flow out for a fadeaway. Now, along with all that footwork, balance, and shot making, another big factor to Kawhi's in-between scoring is going to be his feel of the entire court. Leonard has both good awareness of where the help is and exactly how much space he needs to rise up, so even if teams throw aggressive shifts at him, it's still really tough to speed him up. The patience and control here is elite, where Kawhi's first going to attack towards the baseline, but then as the weak side defense shifts across, look how he's just going to keep his dribble alive, find where the open space is, and set up this jumper back towards the middle. Same concept here. Leonard rips towards the baseline, and when the defense throws extra bodies at him, it's right back to probing for a couple of extra dribbles and finding the open space. I love the pace on this move here, where Leonard first rips to his right, and as Jaden Ivey digs down in gap, look how he's just going to pull out his dribble and wait for him to move off his spot. And when that gap opens back up, it's another routine pull-up across the middle. Now for Kawhi, that efficient outside scoring also carries over to the 3-point line. So far this year, he's shooting over 39% on all his pull-up threes. And these shots have been huge for him at a pick and roll. First, if the man guarding the ball goes under, or the big is in a deep drop, that's going to be an automatic 3 points. And these are shots that Leonard is comfortable getting into from range. This right here is well beyond 30 feet. And if teams try to switch or play him straight up, Kawhi also has a multitude of ways to create separation. One of his go-tos is just his left to right between step back, where he gets the defense skating back by bringing the ball through, and when he feels that space, that's his cue to separate off that right foot. And if the man guarding the ball is trying to fight over and get back in front, Leonard is also very good at using his body to create space. As Tari Eason here fights over and tries to head off this downhill angle, Leonard is going to use that as leverage to separate behind the line. Now the thing is that outside shooting from range feeds back into Kawhi's mid-range game. First, if the man guarding the ball is trying to fight over and take away that pull-up three, that naturally makes it easier for him to turn the corner and find that open space, especially if the man guarding the ball isn't stepping up towards the level. Amen Thompson here is going to press up and chase over, but as Leonard turns the corner, this turns into a one-on-one against Şengün, and that's where the footwork, balance, and lift becomes too much. And like we've already seen, if his man gets out of position for a split second, Leonard is great at using his body and playing off angles to find shots. So as a perimeter scorer, Leonard pretty much brings everything to the table. The guy is efficient in the mid-range and from three. He can generate shots in isolation or pick and roll. Plus he has a really good feel of reading the defense and knowing what shots he wants to get into. But Kawhi's efficient scoring doesn't stop there. So far this year, he's also been putting up really good numbers around the basket. Now, pretty much all of Kawhi's drives stem from his outside shooting. First, out of pick and roll, that pull-up threat pulls aggressive coverages out towards the line, making it easy for him to put his foot on the gas and get these blow-bys. This defender here is both stepping out 30 feet from the basket, and his hips are completely opened up. And for Kawhi, this is just an easy push cross back to his left. And overall, I do think some people sleep on Kawhi as an athlete. Obviously, his best days physically are behind him, but if he gets open space, he can for sure play above the rim. When turning the corner, Kawhi is also really good at using his pace to create angles, by slowing down to move the defense off their spot, to then drop back down into drives. On this play, as Houston tries to ice the screen, Kawhi is going to spin back over to his left. Then look how he's going to lift up his chest and slow down as Şengün steps up, which gets him to fold over and sets up this drive towards the baseline. While initiating his post-ups from the perimeter, the threat to explode to the basket is always there. He can surprise the defense with quick spins, or just kind of bump and chisel his way towards the basket. And then of course off the bounce, Leonard also has all those elite guard skills. He can change direction with different low pickups, or just put together moves off a live dribble. This is a nice change of pace move here, where Leonard's first going to take a dribble off the screen, to then lift up those eyes and get this between blow-by. So from his strength, footwork, and pace, Kawhi still has the skill and build to be a top-tier slasher. And because teams are so freaked out about that perimeter shooting, these are shots that naturally find him throughout the game. Teams are often pressuring him in isolation or pick and roll, so there's often space in front of the rim once he beats the first line of defense. So with the ball in his hands, Kawhi is still an efficient 3-level scorer. I think he's in the conversation for one of the best mid-range shot creators in the league. The accuracy from 3 is still there, and while attacking the basket, he still has all the skill and tools to be an efficient finisher. And what I also love about Kawhi's game is that he also brings a big scoring punch off the ball. First, he does a lot of his work just spotting up and canning open threes. The Clippers do kind of have a very hard and focused offense, so Kawhi can just fill in the blanks and knock down open looks. And what makes life easy is that defenses still respect Harden as a legit scoring threat, so he's often pulling double teams towards the ball, which opens up these routine spot up threes. Off the ball, Kawhi also has the footwork and mobility to work off different pin downs. And while catching from here, he has all the options and counters. He can take the first look off the screen, or curl off and take a dribble into open space. And this is where we come back to that whole batch of pace and footwork. So with the scoring punch that Leonard brings both on and off the ball, I really think he can be a 30+ scorer if he stays healthy. And I do like his pairing with James Harden, because that takes a big chunk of the passing responsibilities out of his hands, which allows Kawhi to just focus on being himself and getting buckets. I think if this team is clicking, they can have a top 10 offense. It just comes down to Kawhi and Harden playing consistent on a night-to-night basis. Now let's move on and look at Kawhi's defense. And I think on this side of the floor, two things can't be true at the same time. First, Kawhi is still a really good wing defender. But second, he's well past the defensive peak that we saw in San Antonio. On the ball, I still think Leonard is an elite isolation defender. He's got the foot speed to keep the ball in front, the strength to absorb contact, plus those magnetic hands. Watch him first press up and fight over the screen, work his way back in front, to then swipe down on this gather. When Kawhi is honed in, he can also be very impactful off the ball. On the weak side, he's got enough size to offer good resistance in the paint. This is great awareness here. We're on the opposite block. Watch him scramble across and meet the roller on the catch, which takes away the advantage and forces up an awkward bank shot. Leonard can also be very disruptive in gap too, being able to both dig down and stop the ball, to then scramble back out and recover to shooters. And plays like these all boil down to awareness and effort. Off the ball, he's also very good at staying attached on screening actions. Whether it's pin downs or flare screens, he's got the strength, speed, and feel to constantly make plays. So from a physical standpoint, I think Leonard has all those same elite defensive tools. He's got good speed and stability on the ball, his size and length makes him impactful from the weak side, plus he has the awareness to make plays off the ball. But at the same time, I do think Kawhi's effort in spots can be inconsistent. On weak side rotations, he's often a step late and reluctant to put his body in front of the ball. On this play, look how he allows himself to get sealed off, giving up this layup. And whether he's playing on or off the ball, Kawhi also has a bad habit of gambling for steals. And sometimes rolling the dice like this does work well for him, but there's also many times where he takes himself completely out of the play. And because he's already a really good overall defender, I don't think it makes sense for him to flip a coin and gamble like this. As the years have gone by, Leonard's focus has also gotten progressively worse. He'll often lose track of his space or man, giving up backdoor cuts, not look to scrap for offensive boards or loose balls, while giving poor effort on longer rotations. So from a bird's eye view, I think Kawhi is still a very good defender. He's elite on the ball, switchable, and can impact the game from every spot on the floor. But I do think his focus on the margins and details isn't what it once was. But again, if Kawhi is fully healthy, I think he's still one of the best two-way players in the game right now. And when he's on, the Clippers do have a legit chance against any team. But for him, it all boils down to his health and how consistent his teammates can be on a night-to-night basis. If both of those things are clicking, LA is for sure a real team. And we just saw them beat Houston, Detroit, and the Lakers.